All right, we're back. I think there was a little technical difficulties when Matt tried to join, kind of kicked us off the live stream, but we're back and we're talking about exercise and inflammation and kind of how to start building your programs for optimal joint health, optimal health through dealing with inflammation. And the biggest thing going forward with that is going to be driving the system in a stressful way, a good stress to allow these benefits of exercise to happen. Now, from a cardiovascular standpoint, like we said last week, you're going to jump in and do some zone 2 cardiovascular work. That's optimal. It's going to help improve mitochondrial function. The other day of cardio can be the same thing, or we can, what I love to do and tell people to do is add some sprints in. So anything, honestly, 20-second sub, go as hard as you can for 10 to 20 seconds, rest about 30 to 60 seconds, and repeat that 10 to 20 times. That's going to be a conditioning day for day 2. And then as we start to look and get into the exercise realm of thing, it's looking at full body movements, loaded movements with there. Matt's coming in. Hopefully you can hear me. Loaded movements to help the joints get proper blood flow and proper fluid distribution to allow them to be healthy. And our sedentary lifestyle of sitting around and locking joints in positions in certain postures is what's driving a lot of arthritis and poor joint health, because we're not getting proper nutrition to the joint from the supply of synovial fluid and blood flow. So when it comes to arthritis, the mechanisms of how exercise is going to help you is going to be immense. And it's one where, yes, there are going to be drugs and there's certain types of inflammation that you're going to need pharmaceutical help for. Like rheumatoid arthritis is just one of those where you might need other interventions. But moving, if you have just baseline or low levels of inflammation, or maybe someone who just wants to get more active, movement alone is going to help your overall joint health. And this is what really helps people on days that they might feel sore. They might have a hard workout, their body's stiff, and just doing light circuits or just getting around and doing active recovery, moving fluid around is what really drives health and what really helps us recover at the end of the day. It's not just sitting there kicking your legs up and doing nothing. It's really going to the point where you're moving about and having a sound recovery day that might just allow you to recover for the next heavy workout. And we talked about that last week, having a developmental day, a very heavy hitter day, and then a more stimulus day, a regeneration day. So this is going to kind of come full circle from last week's live a little bit to allow the system to have variations and have variability in doing what it does best, and that's being flexible. Our body is built to adapt, so we really need to have sound programs when it comes to our approach to our health. And this is where our clients have really strived in leaps and bounds because of getting on programs that help them push them to where they want to be and not to overtrain. And Matt and I have talked about this many times, of this redlining or over pushing this sense of I need to train hard every single day. And you're just going to kind of lead to detraining and burnout, which is going to lead to increased levels of inflammation because your body's trying to recover. Because exercise, like anything else, is just a boatload of stress dumped on the system. We need to be able to mitigate that and do it again in a cyclical way. So it can't always be at a high level. And I think that's where a lot of people's programs go too far. And I applaud people out there who start really hard and they go out the bat. And we've done programs that are like this, just to test them out to see how much you can kind of push the system. And usually I get to about day 2 or 3 in a row. And by Thursday or Friday, I'm pretty beat up and I need a day of almost a little pullback or of lighter intensity so I can recover and go into that next day and really get most out of it. And I think when it comes to people in that 6 to 8 week program of trying to optimize their health, they go too hard too fast and they're not able to maintain certain levels of intensity through the whole microcycle of 8 weeks. And then they start kind of getting burnt out and then they start falling off the wayside. And it's going to be a very hard thing if you're one of those people to kind of grasp and understand that one day it might be a little bit less intense, or you might not have that muscle burn that you're expecting, or that, the sweat outline on the floor that everyone thinks that they need. That's not always the case. Yeah, you want to have days like that. Out of the 5 days, depending on where you're at, I like to have 3 of those be really intense days and 2 of them be more back off days. I take one day as Matt, I was saying, like a zone 2, more of a light aerobic conditioning day. And then my other strength training day is a lighter intensity day. And that's how we really model our programs to fit what your needs are. And that's kind of how the custom programs go. And everyone should be on a custom program. You and I are both on custom programs. We've written programs for each other at times, and we've tested some of these programs back in the day at Equinox with each other, and we found what works, what doesn't. But to have a set program, when I pick up a piece of paper and I have something written down, there's no room for deviations and no issues of people going off and being like, I don't know what to do. I'm just throwing random stuff in now. And I think that's where a lot of people get bogged up. And the model that Peloton has is really good because you kind of turn it on and there's a class right there. You pick your mode of what you want, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever you want. And it's right there. And that's how simple it should be. So when it comes to programming, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to have a program. You're going to open it up. It's going to have right what you need. And we're going to dive into the program to optimize your health, especially from an inflammation standpoint. I think a lot of times people look at programs and then look at exercises and they ask questions of, oh, why should I be squatting? Or should I be doing deadlift? Or should I be doing leg press? Well, they're all good exercises. They all have their place. But we want to pick the exercises that are going to benefit us the most. And that's where we've always driven our thought rationale to, and to help you understand why you're doing certain exercises. We don't just want squat to be there just because, you need to squat. No, we look at it as, hey, we want you to squat because we want you to have a good pelvic floor. We want you to have a good firing of your motor patterns. Can you drop into that position? Can your joints push fluid and move fluid? There's a plethora of things that we look at movements, not just as a movement, but what it's going to be. And I think there's a really good post that was posted, I think it was today or yesterday, about rotation. And I know we talked about this before, but the ability to rotate and turn and oscillate is one of the most important things that our brain needs to be able to do. If not, we get locked up and we get into things like Parkinson's, and we get like movement variabilities that change for the worse because we have lost the movements. And kind of the first, the code of tonight, getting into it, there was none earlier. We kind of have that 15 minutes and then it cut out, is going to be goals 99. So first code is goals 99. And that's going to be just reminding people that we all have goals and we all are on a different path on our exercise, whether it's weight loss, whether it's muscle gain, whether it's being good at running, which I am not, and I found that out last week. Whether it's Olympic lifting like Matt, there's all these goals. And we as coaches are always trying to help people understand what those goals are. And that's why we ask those important questions, because we all know that people have goals, and people might not want to tell us our goals. We've sat there with people for almost an hour and they've never really told us what we want. But once you start getting into a conversation with them about why certain things are important, like why we need to squat low, or why we're doing this step up, or why we're doing an assault bike, they start opening up because they see the reliability of the exercise and the coach built in. And that's really what it comes down to for people listening, is allowing that buy-in and trust in your program, in your coach, to drive the changes you want. And there, at first, it's hard to see because you really can't see changes. Changes really happen, like in the research said, after 6 to 8 weeks. So it's arbitrary at first. You're not going to get a lot of return for your investment. And it's very much just like the stock market. Like you might not get a lot of return, but over time, you're going to get return from that investment. And our bodies are the same way. So when it comes to people and their goals or deciding, and you might not have goals right now, you might not have that thought of what you want to do, but just think about where you want to be in 2 weeks, in 3 months, in a year, from a health standpoint. What do you want to accomplish from a life goal standpoint, or just whatever feats of physical attributes that you want to do? Because there's plenty out there. And some of them might just be going to the gym 4 to 5 days a week for every week. That's fine. What we're aiming for is to have people to always have goals and always have drives, and then matching those drives with a specific why. And then from that why, building that buy-in of, this is the action that's going to allow you to have and obtain those goals, to drive more goals and more whys. And I think that's a very important thing that people need to understand to optimize health. Is it's not just jumping into an exercise program at random. It's kind of thinking about what you want out of that program, and then that program will give that to you more or less over time, as if you just follow the guidelines of the program like you'd follow guidelines for everything else in life. Rules of the road, school, we've all had these in our lives. Exercise training programs are no different and should be no different. And this is where it gets very confusing for people, because there's a lot of exercise programs out there in the world. And to navigate through what is going to work, what might not work, what's good for you, what might not be good for you, that's very hard. And I think one of the reasons why we first dove into this, we first started Think Fitness Life, is for that reason, to educate people on what they need and what is optimal for them, because an Olympic lifting program might not be optimal for everyone. We offer it, we will guide people to it, but some people might not be looking for that. And I think at first, when you're kind of building out programs when we're younger, or you see templated programs, they were all cookie cutter. And I remember Matt used to love that word of like, oh, things are cookie cutter, but there always has to be some nuance to that, right? There's always got to be some variation to help that person that might not fit into this one category program. And that's where individualizing things from a coaching standpoint, in teaching people and having these podcasts and lives go forward to educate them on what they might be missing out in their daily programs. And it's always fun to help people that might not have realized that they needed the help, or who might have missed something in their own programs or in their own daily activities that can benefit them the more. And I think one of the big things that pops up, because we used to get a lot of them at Equinox, is runners and cyclists. When you have people on a spectrum of very cardio heavy people, and then you start to bring them into strength training, it kind of threatens their world because they don't really want to change what they're doing from a performance standpoint on the cardiovascular side. And I totally agree with it. But the ability to incorporate some sort of strength training and resistance training to allow joints to be healthy, to allow muscles to produce more force and absorb more force is what we always really explained to them. And once they kind of understood that we're not here to build them up into to have a lot of muscles or put a lot of muscle mass on, they understood what we were getting their program to be and allow their performance to be. And it allows them to have the buy-in and trust in that exercise program to complete that and to increase their performance. And there's nothing better than seeing someone increase their overall performance, no matter what sport, from training modalities, from training programs, and kind of going through and trusting the process from a coaching standpoint that goes way beyond anything else. And that's one of the best things about coaching is people get to kind of develop and learn. And I always like the word coach better than train, because you kind of train someone to do something or train someone to then be autonomous, where coaching, you're more coaching someone's behavior. You're guiding them and giving the insight to all the tools that they need to do it autonomous, but you're not just training it like a dog. And I think that was one big thing when it came to, you know, coaching people is we're not just training. We're not sitting there just training a movement pattern, is we're coaching that movement pattern to stick, or we're coaching the thoughts and the ideas of certain movements to be performed over and over again to help for performance. Just like as we mentioned at the beginning, Matt, when you were out, there's new research out that shows that strength training about 6 to 8 weeks actually increases macrophages at a level and decreases in inflammation and the inflammatory response through multiple mechanisms. And we're targeting that through proper programming and proper exercise protocols. And I think that's a big hitter to go on to drive overall health. And leading to our kind of second promo code is Life 24/7. Now, going into that, kind of it's a good symbol. Now, I didn't pick these, Matt picked these codes, but Life 24/7 to me kind of represents like, hey, you're kind of, we have life 24/7 and we sometimes take it for granted, but we really need to be cognitive of who we are in this life and where we're going and what time has allotted us, and to be able to be on a healthy path and a trajectory of optimal health almost 24/7 because of our exercise program, because of our solid nutrition strategies, because of our optimal sleep and our optimal health and social relationships and relationships with other people that allow us to be optimally living. And we've known this for years, that it's not just exercise and nutrition, but it's always the emphasis on having that social network of people around you that we've seen in the blue zones that have allowed people this life of longevity. And I think that code of Life 24/7 really embodies what we're going to keep teaching and kind of preaching to all of our listeners and people who follow us, is to guide them into living healthy lives. Now, this doesn't mean 24/7 you have to be completely rigid eating spinach. No, that's not what it means. But embracing that, optimal health is a full-time job. And right, optimal health also might be, I'm going to say, going out and having a family dinner that might not be the healthiest dinner for you, but because you're there having experience with your family, loved ones, whatever, you're going to get something out of it. And then you kind of come back and say, okay, we're back to our regular scheduled program. I don't know, Matt, if you can hear me or if you're on the mic, but if you, anytime you want to chime in, feel free to let it rip.
Yeah, Yeah, I think just keeping it short and sweet today. I obviously hopped in late, just had a had to multitask a little bit, get the dog out for some exercise. I'm taking a red eye tonight to visit family. Um, you touched on a lot of points, and I think kind of coming back to the inflammation talk. I think the biggest thing to help with inflammation is sleep. If they could put anything into a pill, the benefits from sleep would would be the first thing they would try to prioritize. There's just no other. Obviously, the things that we eat can cause inflammation. So if you can stop eating things that cause inflammation, that's going to be helpful. But sleep is going to help clean out the inflammation on a periodic basis. And if you're getting poor sleep quality, you're getting bad recovery, you're getting excess inflammation buildup, and then you can lead to chronic inflammation and what Eric's saying, kind of the stagnancy of your joints. The lotion is the motion. As far as some of the other pieces you touched on tonight, um, I think I really think a lot of people truly don't give a shit, and at a certain degree, they need to sink their teeth in slowly but surely, and it's like layers of an onion. And excuse me, and there is like they absolutely, I'm 100% with you of having to get their brain involved. Like, yeah, sure, we want you to know the basic fundamentals, the basic structure is you're going to want to have a squat pattern in your program. Do they really care in the beginning of the day? No, they're like, I just want to get healthy. I want to move well. I have to take care of my kids. I have to take care of my career. I have to invest time taking care of my parents, whatever. And it's especially in the beginning, it's like this this thing that opens up slowly, and then what you pay attention to grows in your awareness, and the grass is always water where the grass is always greener where you water it. So you kind of start in this direction. You don't have to know all of this stuff right away, and I think that's the beauty of having a training team in your pocket is programs are already there. You save time. You don't have to Google figuring out what it is you're going to do. There is a level to which we do customize things and it's a little bit more expensive, but even just having a template pathway of weight loss or muscle gain or performance or longevity, like we know the different specifics of sets, reps, exercise selection, warm up to cool down, so that everything is full court press towards your goals. And that's why Eric's stressing the importance of knowing your why and having some sort of goal. And it doesn't have to be so defined of like, I want to run a 5K tomorrow, but it can be defined of as, you know what, I just want to feel better. I just want to move better. I just want to get out of pain. I just want to participate in more things. I want to have more energy. I want to play with my kids, my grandkids. That's might be where it starts. And then slowly but surely you dive into, well, why am I doing this squat? And then your natural interests build, which then just create a more harmonious response and feedback to what it is, what demand you're putting on your body. It's like you absorb this piece into the puzzle and your body's like, well, where does this connect to? And you have to learn that in order to be able to tie everything together and have synergy across your systems, between your cardiorespiratory system, between your metabolic and hormonal system, between your digestive and energy production systems, between your central nervous system and peripheral nervous system, serotonin. Well, I mentioned hormones. So yeah, just kind of don't. And another big piece that Eric mentioned that was super critical is the aspect of burnout or deconditioning. You try to work out 10 days in a row, and you might burn yourself out. You might not come back to lifting. Versus if you lift Monday, Tuesday, take Wednesday as active cardio, active recovery, lift Thursday, Friday, and rest over the weekends. That's what I do. You might find that, wow, I do break down my body. I do feel pretty crappy, not crappy, but weaker by Thursday, Friday. But man, I get a good recovery. I sleep well, I eat well, and I'm ready to hit it again on Monday. And say it takes 2 weeks to get into shape and only 1 week to fall out of shape. So think about that as you're trying to ramp up into your program and ease yourself into it so you can stay consistent. Because that's the key thing that Eric's touching upon there is whatever allows you to stay consistent. Otherwise, you know, the the eighth wonder of the world is the compound effect. Those who understand it earn it. Those who don't pay it. So you can either pay it by compounding the effect of your sedentary habits and bad behaviors, or you compound the good behaviors and movement and build in that direction. But yeah, that's really all I kind of had tonight. Again, I didn't announce this one, so I felt bad about having too many promo codes to be launched tonight, but I'm glad that we still had 2 to release. We'll have 4th of July this weekend. We might postpone, I think we're going to postpone this weekend's live. And then we'll pick up next Wednesday. So we'll meet you guys back here in a week with more lives, more chances for earning entries up. And my phone is dead.
And I think Matt's phone probably just died. And yeah, he said we'll pick it up next Wednesday. We got about a month, roughly about a month left till the drawing for the gym equipment. For those who might be new here, that's going to be $1,500 worth of kind of whatever you want. We can help you, whether you want a Peloton tread, whether you want a Peloton bike, whether you want a bench and rack and bars, or whatever kind of equipment that we can help you with to kind of get onto your exercise program. That's going to be available. We are offering programs that are going to be customized, individualized to what your needs are. We offer 3, 4, 5 days. If you want 6 days, we are offering that. Go to our website, thinkfitnesslife.com. If you're interested, kind of drop a contact or sign up for those programs. We will get those out to you ASAP. Whatever you're looking for, whether you want to put muscle mass on, you want to lose body fat, we will give it to you. That's kind of what we do here. If you want to kind of see what else we do, other blogs, other podcasts, that's all in our website. And until next week, have a good night, everyone.